So why aren't people leaving Windows for Linux? I went online and I asked Quora, you know, Quora, and these are the answers that I got. So M. Mazid, I hope I pronounced it right. He says this. What the heck? See if I can read this. Uh, Linux is a great OS for various reasons. If you want a free firewall, if you want a free media player, if you want free VPN, free database, free FTP, free router, most of all, if you want to set up a free server. So Linux computers can host free servers, he says, and you have no license to restrictions. He goes on to say universities use it to perform experiments and stuff, right? High performance computing, runs statistical applications, blah, 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 blah. Unfortunately, they're not suitable, he says. They're not suitable for desktop use. Windows, even though they have viruses now and then, will always win the desktop PC battle. They are the de facto operating system. There are applications that you can only use on Windows. And you started out pretty good, just saying all the great benefits of Linux, and then you said, unfortunately, they're not suitable for normal desktop use. It suits me just fine. I'm using it tens of thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands. It could be millions. We don't know. The truth is, we don't know how many Linux users there are because you don't register. You don't have to register. It's not like Windows or Mac where the first thing you have to do is register your operating system with your name, rank, and serial number. So we don't know, but I do know that I'm using it. It's fine. There's like 208 distributions of Linux. There's got to be demand for a little bit of what you have. So I think you need to expand on why. I would like to know why they're not suitable. I haven't seen any evidence of it. Let's see. We go a little bit further down. And what does he say? As an IT professional, I will want to train myself and learn Linux, but I will never change it as my main operating system on my laptop. This is no disrespect with Linux, but Linux will never win the consumer PC battle. I love it how these Windows guys think that there's a battle. I don't think there's a battle. This is the greatest misperception right here. The consumer PC battle. Is there a PC battle? Linux developers and creators don't think there's a PC battle. An argument could be made that Linux developers would rather fly under the radar, not attract attention, keep it on the DL. I don't think Linux people really care about any battle. So thanks, Mazid. Let's go on to the next one. Maybe someone else will have a different take. Let's ask Kurt. Kurt has an ABA in Business Administration and Computer Science. Kurt says, there's no comparison for the less techie users. As good as Linux distros have become, and they are very good, there's no standard distro that everyone unilaterally declares to be the one. It's all about familiarity and comfort zones. Moderately techie Windows users know exactly how to tweak and app a Windows computer to be their old friend. That was a bit wordy for him to say, that you get so familiar with the Windows and the way that you do it, it's like an old friend. Very nice, kind of nostalgic, feels good. And even non-techie users expect to see the desktop components and apps they already know and struggle with even the cosmetic differences that come with new versions of Windows. GNOME 3 is completely foreign to them. They have no idea how to locate alternate or equivalent apps, even for the simple text editors like Notepad. And when they visit Google, click Install Chrome and don't have a clue what a package manager is. I'm sorry, love. How to grant root permissions to the installer, or after installing, there's no desktop shortcut, or Chrome fails to launch with not so much as an error message. They're headed for the exit. I'm sorry for laughing at you, Kurt, but jeez. Kurt, you think everybody's stupid? Like, Kurt, I'll tell you right now, if someone has enough brain power to install an alternate, a different type of operating system, I'm sure they'll be able to recognize things like, I don't know, installing programs that aren't built for the system or whatever. Honestly, I never understood any of that, and I just managed along just fine. Just fine. Let's see. And this here, what you say, what the heck do they say? They have no idea how to locate alternate equivalent apps. And then you go on to say, even when they visit Google, click Install Chrome, and don't have a clue what a package manager is or how to grant root permissions. So that's not a bad idea. Let's try that. Okay, so we're on Google. I'm never on Google, and let's type in Chrome here. See what happens. There's Chrome. Chrome's right there. Chrome browser. Download now. Okay, Kurt, let's see if you got it right. It's hard to pretend that I don't know what I'm doing, that I'm not aware that there's different operating systems and that it's going to be a different kind of thing. Get Chrome for Linux. See, Chrome's that smart. It already knows that I'm on a Linux machine. 64-bit Deb suggesting this one, and it knows it. This is Google. So Google's warning me that I'm about to enter the concentration camp, because Google.com uses cookies to deliver enhanced quality of its services. We're doing this for you and to analyze traffic. If you agree, cookies are also used to serve advertising and to personalize the content of advertisements that you see. I do not agree. No thanks. We're going to see what happens. Now this is accept and install. There's a reason I've not put Chrome on my computer, and it's because it's notoriously tracks everything you do. So by me doing this means that I'm going to have to undo it almost immediately and revert back. I don't think Chrome has the capability of crawling through my system, because my firewall's not going to let it. Accept and install. Thanks for downloading. Your download begins automatically. Get Chrome for your phone. No, thank you. There, it's downloading. It's down. Wow. So far, Kurt, so good. So far, so good. Download is complete. Okay, let's have a look at it. Google is right here. Let's click on that. It's going to come to this. right here. There's Google Chrome. Don't look at anything else I've got on there because it's that's my secret stash of downloaded stuff. Uh, and see, it says install package. Kurt, it didn't ask me to do anything fancy. Oh, here it is. Authentication required. So you're putting in your password. So I think even the newbie is going to realize that, yeah. There we go, installing the file. What's going on, Kurt? Kurt, what's going on? This is not supposed to happen. The installation was successful. Kurt! Oh no, this is not good. Not good, Kurt. I trusted you, Kurt. You said that this would give me a hard time, that I would be exiting. I would be leaving Linux and going back to Windows. Kurt. People listen to you, Kurt. You've got an ABA in business. What you got? Business administration and computer science. Kurt, you can't be telling people stuff that just isn't true. So that went there. So now if I go here and click and I look for internet, there's Google Chrome. I wonder if it's going to start. Make Google Chrome the default browser. No. Automatically send usage statistics and crash reports to Google. No. Okay. There's Google Chrome. And I have to sign in to get additional features. Don't sign in. At least it lets you. Enhanced add privacy in Chrome. My God. So far Chrome's looking pretty good there, Kurt. Kurt, you still there, Kurt? Where'd you go, Kurt? There you are. There you are, Kurt. What did you say? I know what you said. You said it's all about familiarity and comfort zones. Well, so they will put on Google Chrome. They have no idea how to locate alternative equivalent apps, even for simple text editors like Notepad. And when they visit Google, then click install Chrome, they don't have a clue what a package manager is. You don't need to know what a package manager is. It just asks you if you want to install it, and you say yes. How to grant root permissions. You don't need to do that either. It just asks you for your password. You give them the password. There's no desktop shortcut. No, there's no desktop shortcut. Darn it. There's no desktop shortcut. I think if somebody's gotten this far on a Linux operating system, they will, by this time, realize that they, well, anyway, we're going to call Chrome a success. There it is. There it is, Google Chrome. It's right there. It's right there. Yeah. Thanks, Kurt. Thank you very much. All right. Wow, that was eye-opening. Here's Tim. Tim is a former software engineer. Unlike Kurt, he has his feet firmly planted on the ground. Tim says, cards on the table. I've used various versions of Linux since 1994. Thank you very much. Installed from a big stack of floppy disks. I remember those days. Also used DOS. I remember DOS. You're Generation X. You'll remember DOS. You're older than Generation X. You'll surely remember DOS. Some of you baby boomers out there that might be watching, you probably remember when you had to punch cards to put them into a card reader to program a computer. I don't remember that, but I have friends that do. So he's used DOS and Mac operating systems. The thing is, I'm a computer geek, says Tim, and he likes to explore. He says, but he's not the usual computer user. Let's see if he understands the usual computer user. It's a guy like me, okay? For most people, the operating system they use is the operating system that came with their computer when they bought it. The tasks that they need to do involve email, browsing, streaming, bit of word processing, etc., etc. And any modern operating system can do that. A lot of users today, most of what they do is browser based. Is that the right term? Where it's online, it's not like dedicated software. Business users, business owners rather, are even migrating to virtual systems and browser-based systems, app-based systems, like mobile-based systems. I try and steer away from those because you don't have control of where your information, your data is going, how it's being used, because you're freely giving it away to an outside source. You're farming out your business. So yes, the home user, I'll agree with this to a certain extent, the home user. Um, but there's exceptions. The reason why I use Windows mainly today revolves around two things that I like to use my computer for: music production and sim racing. Here's thanks, Tim. Um, if I want to work with on my music, I've got decades worth of stuff that I have done in a program that only runs on Windows. That's that's it in a nutshell. This is likely a common reason why people won't shift from Windows to Linux. I have a hard time arguing with what you're saying, Tim. So well done. Uh, but Keith has a slightly different take on it. Let's see if we can find Keith here. Keith says people are generally lazy. Windows works well enough for them, and their computer came with it. If Windows wasn't pre-installed, I believe Linux would make bigger inroads. You may ask, he says, why isn't Apple better since Mac OS is pre-installed? Which to that, the answer is that they have no low end. Many people spend $300, $500 on a computer, whereas the cheapest Mac is $800 for the Mini. The cheapest laptop is $1,000. So Apple is priced out of the low end market and beyond the average person who just wants something cheap for Facebook and such. See, now, this is what makes Linux both virtuous and foolhardy. Virtuous in that Linux would rather avoid corporate ideologies and keep the operating system free and open, allowing, the free market to dictate the natural evolution of its operating system. Perhaps this keeps the system mostly free of malicious software and hackers because these open systems tend to be self-governing, and self-governing people really don't take any BS. So as soon as something malicious is out there, it's like it gets shot down right away. It's done. It doesn't even get to the point where it'll end up in your computer. It just doesn't happen. And it's foolhardy that because Linux is free and open, there's less money to spend on advertising and propaganda. I love using that word. The only advertising Linux gets is from users like you and me. Likewise, it's also demonized by other systems in the form of propaganda that's never defended against because, well, there's no budget. There's no budget. So Linux can't even launch an anti-smear campaign because they couldn't care less. Jay's here somewhere. Jay pipes in. Jay's got a lot to say. Wow. Okay. Oh, Jay, I don't even want to read your stuff, dude. because it's a lot. But you make some good points. Okay. Uh, Disclaimer, he says, Windows user since 1995, tried Linux in 2014 and have barely used Windows since. Congratulations. Most people are invested in Windows or Mac because they've invested their time, their accounts, their money, their software, learning, and so that's why they're going to use it. Like anything else, I guess. You've invested so much into it that you want to get the return out of it. Most people don't need to change their operating systems, he says, and if they do, they're usually thinking about switching to Mac from Windows or vice versa. Because Windows or Mac come with the computers that you buy. So most people think they are free. They think they are free. That's the point. That's the point. Jay, you nailed it. People don't think, pardon me, people don't think the Windows operating system and Mac operating systems cost anything because they come with the machine. Wow. Wow, that's like in the 1970s and 80s when air conditioning was an option on your car. It's not anymore. It comes with the car. Doesn't mean it's free because the overall cost of the car has been increased. Good point. Good point. Nicely done. Good point. Oh, Jay, I'm getting to like you. When I started using Linux in 2014, I just built a new gaming PC. Okay. Here's the thing. Everybody's got a story. Everybody wants to tell their story. So Jay wants to tell his story. So we're going to read Jay's story. And everybody, this is Jay's story. Not mine. Not mine. It's Jay's story. When I started using Linux in 2014, I had just built a new gaming PC and wanted to try Ubuntu on an old 2005 dual-core desktop. My reason was I wanted to set up a home server for movies, music, etc. that I could access from my desktop, laptop, phones, and consoles, and blah, blah, blah. I had been using Windows to do this and found that it wasn't being discovered, particularly on my PlayStation 3. Simply trying Ubuntu was a lot of fun, says Jay. I was surprised how well it worked and how good it looked and the things that I could do with it since it was free. So I started trying to find limitations with it based on what I did on Windows. I ended up finding there really weren't any. But I didn't try gaming, which, hard to read this, sorry. I ended up finding there really weren't many. But I didn't try gaming since I already had a brand new custom Windows machine for what? Wow. Brand new machine for that. Eventually I did move on, more on that later, he says. I did learn to use a terminal, but newer Linux distros really don't need you to use a terminal. However, in my opinion, if you're going to use Linux without the terminal, you're missing out on some of the best parts of using Linux. Like every child with a new toy, there's two kinds of kids. Kids that just start playing with it right away, enjoying it for its intended purpose. And then there's the other group of kids, first thing they do is try and take it apart. And if you're one of the people who try to take it apart, then you're like Jay. Jay, who says if you're going to use Linux without the terminal, you're missing out on some of the best parts of using Linux, because Jay is that kind of guy. I'm a little bit like that, but I wait till it breaks first. So I don't fix it if it's not broken. It's not the easiest thing to do. So yes, I think I'm the first person where the Linux distribution really doesn't need you to use a terminal. I don't. I 99.99% of what I do is no terminal. This is what's kept me on this distribution of Linux Mint for 5 years, and even though I've tried a couple other ones, I keep coming back to this one. Familiarity is my comfort zone, and I don't need to open that stinking terminal. It can be done, and I'm living proof. I'm doing good with it. I was amazed at everything we could do well with it. He's talking about the terminal. Good, good stuff, Jay. You got more, don't you? You do. Oh yes, more about Jay's continuing with the story. This is about Jay. He does a web graphic design, and so he found a bunch of new code editors. This is it, right? This is what he does. He's tapping into the computer through terminal to do things that he couldn't otherwise do without it. So because he does web and graphic design, he found a bunch of new code editors for that. He found GIMP, Inkscape, Krita, which are excellent alternatives for Adobe Photoshop and Illustrator. He was able to learn his own LAMP server host code that he was writing. And this is where, like in terminal, this is what you learn. You can learn this kind of stuff if you're so inclined. If you're not, then you don't need terminal. He began producing music with LMMS, Linux and Music. Linux what? Multimedia Studio. Right. I haven't tried that. Apparently, and I kind of looked into it. I've got it installed on a computer somewhere. Ubuntu Studio, and Ubuntu Studio uses a lot of this, so maybe he's running Ubuntu Studio. An alternative for Fruity Loops FL Studio. Reaper is available on Linux. Ardor sounds like something from Lord of the Rings. Ardor is a more Pro Tools like DAW, and Carla lets me run Windows VSTs on Linux. There's a whole bunch of Windows type emulators systems out there and virtual machines. I may or may not get into that because it's really doesn't. I have no use for it. Really don't. I could also do raw photography work with alternatives to Adobe Lightroom like Darktable, Raw Therapy, Luminescence, HDR. I also fooled around with Linux as a virtual machine briefly before actually trying it, and found a virtual machine where Workstation is also available on Linux, allowing me to run Windows and Mac OS if I really wanted to. VirtualBox is available too. Sorry, laugh. I didn't know VirtualBox existed until I was running Linux. I didn't realize it was a Windows application too. I had no idea. Linux has its own KVM, QEMU for running virtual machines. This stuff is all Greek to me. So if you guys don't understand what all of these things are that I just read in the last 3 or 4 minutes, I don't either. Hopefully it does. I don't think it doesn't matter to your computing experience or your living experience and how your life is, if you know this or not. So I didn't try Linux for gaming until over a year later on my custom machine with Arch Linux. But even that was a good experience. You can run many Windows games inside of Steam with Proton Steam Play. Native games like Macro actually run better than on Windows. Okay, there's more. There's more for Jay. He's doing really good. I've since started a YouTube channel. Blah blah blah. Okay, good. I'm gonna go back to this gaming thing. Gaming is, if you're a big gamer, then Steam is good. And Arch Linux is good too, but you have to be an advanced computer guy to do Arch Linux. I started because Arch Linux is not an installable system, from what I understand. I think you have to build it. And I got about, I'm gonna say, 10 minutes into building it, and it was more than my brain could handle. I couldn't keep going with it. It was just so, wasn't my thing. And you know what? I'm not going to say it's bad. It from the people who use it, they think it's amazing, and it definitely it is amazing. Um, but I can't. I I haven't gone through the effort of putting it on my machine because it's not my hobby. Computers are not my hobby. Anyway, what more does Jay have to say? We're going to get this wrapped up here. So he started his YouTube channel and he does his own graphics, uh, produces his own music, records and streams. Yeah, all that stuff. He's not saying Linux is for everyone, but I do think people here are making it out to be more difficult and of lower quality than it really is. Linux is definitely better for people who want to make things. But if you do most of your work in a web browser, Linux can do everything that you need. If you're a Microsoft Office user, LibreOffice can do the same work and operate with others who are using Microsoft Office. Well, he's talking about all this different kind of stuff. And we're going to get into all that stuff in later episodes. I'm steering away from software because I'm not that familiar with a lot of software. So I don't, getting back to this. Yeah. Uh, so Jay said a lot of great stuff. Mind you, Jay is a computer guy. This is his thing. And because, so I'm not, like I said, I avoid the terminal. Um, so making the change in operating systems will be a slow process without funding in the form of advertising. We can draw a direct analogy to the evolution of the electric vehicle. So the car is the machine and the engine is the operating system. And it's taken a tremendous amount of advertising and propaganda to move the consumer from the gas-powered combustion engine. And to do that, it required a significant amount of corporate money. And this is something that Linux just doesn't have. And likely won't ever have unless it gives up its free and open source ideology. So the very thing that Linux needs to go mainstream and be the de facto operating system is the very thing that it despises: corporatocracy.